after a 2-month layoff and life happenings. We're back at it.
J-Mac's married.
I'm married. We're bringing the
For all of our female followers that were interested in locking J-Mac down, I'm sorry, he's off the market.
Yeah, so many knocking down my inbox with proposals of.
Hey, when you yesterday were telling me you know, first of all, these people that we talk to all the time are like, thanks so much for the videos. When are you going to do your next one? And I'm always like, oh, this week or next week. And you say that enough times. But in the end, yesterday, you're like, hey, did you know we have 653 subscribers to our channel? And I'm like, what? Like, why?
Right.
Why? Like, who are these people? So in my mind, it's like 53 land center owners and like 600 like fangirls of J-Mac. That's what I feel like in my mind it probably is.
Yeah, I have to giggle when I get on the chat or I send somebody an email and they say, oh, you're the guy in the corner of the video and not saying anything. You're like a celebrity. I'm like, no, I just record the shows.
I just remember the phone call we had with Game Dios where like you could hear these ladies giggling in the background and the two guys were like, I apologize that the ladies in the office think you're cute. Like, and they wanted to know if you were available. And I'm like, well, yeah, he technically was at that point. You weren't married yet. So
right.
You were still fair game. So anyway,
let's do it.
Good to be back. I don't know if is this number 50 or 49 or 51? We're very close to 50 shows.
It's 50 or 51, but some of those thrown in there were like presentations. So I think we're pretty close. I'd have to go do an accurate count, but anyway.
The fun thing is that because yesterday you made me start looking through videos when you said, hey, we have 653 subscribers. So I started going way back. And in the beginning, like, just the way we did things and the way, like, I can't believe people, like, we've kept doing this and people still watch these, but we have gotten a lot better.
Right.
Like, that we're not good. This is not a professionally produced program at all. The funny thing is that a lot of people find us through these videos, like I know they come to ggCircuit, ggLeap, eBash, Zen Masters, doesn't matter what it is. Eventually they find their way to us through those videos, it seems like. And recently, we won't say any names or anything because who knows if any of this stuff will actually come to fruition. But we've had now like national news programs and different places contacting us, wanting us to come on their shows and start talking about branding and esports and other things that, and one of them, as they called the other day, the producers for the show, they're like, hey, we want to have you on or whatever. I'm like, how did you find us? Like what, did you Google it or, and the producer was kind of like, I don't, he just gets past stuff from his underlings. So he didn't really know how they found us. But in the end, it's such a crazy cool time, for the industry as a whole. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today on our Land Center question is, the state of the industry. Like there is no question at this point that we're seeing a massive resurgence in land centers and all focused around esports and the building out of arenas and programs in colleges and chains and business folks that are coming on board. And, I know we have competitors out there in the software world. I don't know that we have competitors for the umbrella of what we do as a company at all of our different departments, so one of the fun things in the transition we're going through after our fundraising round earlier this year, which we may actually publicly finally do a press release on at some point, but we're now trying to figure out, okay, so our company is set up with eBash and with Chris, my partner from Ireland, his was Game the World back in the day. Velocity 42 is a software company, and Mark Nielsen from iGames. So the three companies underneath the umbrella of ggCircuit are eBash and Velocity 42 and iGames. And I'm not sure a lot of people understand what all of us bring to the table as part of what makes ggCircuit and what makes GG Technologies tick is the fact that we have all of these companies that have been doing this forever, and we're very, very good in each of the ways that, we've worked through the years. And so people call us now from these companies, and we're doing big projects for big companies where we're helping design and build it. We're coming in and setting up servers and, building out the network and helping, negotiate deals on the hardware. And we're then coming in and helping them plan marketing plans and doing social media help. And then we're doing custom design work for certain customers, and so it's a crazy exciting time. And not only are we getting bigger and better customers coming into the esports world, that just the numbers are way up. We won't share any direct numbers because I'm not sure we want to let everybody know how cool we are or how big the industry is getting. But just to put it in percentages, I look back at January of this year. In August of this year, we added twice as many new customers than we did in January of this year. Just, so in what is that, 7 months, we've doubled the number of centers we're adding into our network. And that's open centers, that's the software's up and running and they're connected and they're running the software in their stores. So what a crazy cool time that we're in for the industry. What goes along with that, and I've talked about this before a couple times, but the problem I still continue to see is that I get just a little bit of my gut is still a little hesitant because it's a little bit .com-ish still. Like I watch these news releases and I see these people that are getting money and I'm like, that's a great idea, but there's nothing there yet. Like it's a concept, it's an idea, and hey, more power to them because they've put together a board of directors that are impressive and they've gone out and they've put their pitch decks together and said, this is a great, idea, and somebody's bought into it as an investor. And, it's 2 million, 5 million, 10 million for these ideas of which it's not been executed yet. And I just get worried that I don't want too many people to get soured in bad deals. But the nice thing is that it'll probably take a year or two before that stuff comes out in the wash. So, the .com bubble to me was a year or two of just massive growth. Everybody was building websites and everybody was all about getting users. And after that initial money runs out in a year or two and they go back to try to raise a second or a third round, that's when the investors are kind of like, what's your sales? Right. How many customers are you adding? What's your revenue model? How are you going to make money for this? What other verticals do you have? What other options do you have for making money for this? So I think we're in that cool, exciting phase now. Let's just have fun with it as a company. And what we want to do for all of our customers is we want to make sure everybody makes money. Like we have a model that actually sells product, has income, pays the bills. Unless we do that, none of us are going to have anything to show for it in a year or two. The nice thing for us is all these people are coming on board and subscribing in early access. And that kind of leads us into our second point here, which is talking about the full version 1 release of GG Leap. So we finished our fundraising round in May, which allowed us to bring on a lot of extra development help and totally focus on finishing up the items that we've deemed necessary for our first version to be released in October. So as of right now, this is the last month of early access pricing, and the sales team will start really hammering this home with everybody. But this is your last chance to get early access pricing and lock it in. We'll honor that for anybody that's on those programs and subscriptions. As long as you're on those things, we'll honor those moving forward. You're not going to be forced to move to the new pricing, but the new pricing that comes out in October, we're going to simplify everything. There's no standard and pro, there's, basically, and it's not. We just had somebody join yesterday. I know you answered this email, but they want to know the pricing for if they had 21 PCs. Right. And you're like, well, right now in early access, it's $29 for 20 PCs or under. It's $59 for 21 PCs and over. It doesn't make a lot of sense to go from 29 to 59 for one PC. I've always been against the per PC license model for other software providers because nothing else is built in the cloud. There's no ongoing expenses for adding PCs. But I also didn't like it because it penalizes centers for getting bigger, it seems like. So what we're working on is a very simple model, $5 a PC a month, okay? That's it. There is no, everybody gets everything for that price. There are no features withheld for anybody at any size. Everybody gets access to the global prize vault. Everybody gets access to custom branding. There is a switchover at 60 PCs or higher is where we've deemed the line for enterprise support installation, extra service agreements, the ability to do custom branding or custom design work, development work. We've just researched this now and gathered all this data in early access for a year and a half. And we know beyond a shadow of a doubt how our market and how our customers work. So the $5 a month pricing is actually very reasonably close to what people are paying in early access. So a lot of people put 7 PCs on a $29 a month product. You know, a lot of people put 24 PCs on a $99 a month product in our early access. So the average right now for us across all of our customers is about $4.70 a month per PC in early access. So the $5 a PC a month fits right what everybody's paying now. A lot of people will be like, well, you know, hey, that might be a little much for my small store to pay. We just want to make sure there's so many benefits and so much involved in that it's second nature for you to be like, I can't live without it. You know, so the ability to have access to the global pool, to have access to the full point of sale, we thought about changing those out. You know, we've had matrices, JMac, that we've worked on, you and I and Ross, where maybe inventory management or something should be reserved for this top tier or whatever. All that's out the window. Like, everybody gets access to everything, $5 a PC a month. It will cap. I don't like charging people to have. We just had a call today with a group that has 240 PCs. Like, it will cap. So our cap right now is going to be at 120 PCs tentatively. You know, we may lower or raise that a little bit, but there will be a cap. So if you come to us and you want to grow and you want to get big, we want you to grow. We want you to get big. We want you to be successful. So we'll cap that license at 120 PCs right now. We may adjust that to 100 if we feel like that our costs are covered for running those servers for these bigger centers when we have those bigger centers coming on board. Right now, you know, our centers, we have centers that have 100 PCs, that have 110 PCs, that have 120. You know, the one we talked to today with 240 PCs, that'll be the biggest one we've worked with yet. So we've got to look at that data and see how that scales for us. Once we set the server up for them online, 240 clients hitting that server at one time, we just want to make sure that we cover our costs. And we're able to support them and support their user base properly. We'll still do annual 2-year, 3-year discounts. You know, you don't have to pay per month. But the exciting part about this is that we've had these milestones set now for a while. But October is our version 1 set release date for for GG Leap. ggCircuit then becomes the focus for the players. So immediately, we still have our core team, but then we're adding new developers in to focus just on the player side. So our core developers keep working on GG Leap. That never stops. The functionality, the features, that will always be under development. That'll always be included as new versions are released. That's always included to everybody. Then we start on the player stuff with a tentative beta release of that product in December. So it's going to go fast, really fast in the next 4 months. A lot of things are going to happen. And the crazy part is that sales are like new customers coming on board are higher than they've ever been. And we're not trying to sell them. You know, we've just been taking orders. Like, we're not actively pursuing sales, outbound sales at all. We're just taking orders from people that are coming to us, starting up centers. So I don't know if you felt the same sort of change since our last call, because I think we had to change over in heart when we finished our fundraising round and we brought our investment on. We had this relief that we can develop at a faster pace now than our sales were providing before, because we just developed at the pace of our sales up until that point. So now we had an investment that allowed us to hire all these developers and develop at a faster pace. I didn't really expect the sales to come, you know, ramp up until we were done with this version 1 in October and we really started promoting it.
I've really seen a change probably in the last 2 weeks in regards to a ramp up in sales and a ramp up in people asking for demos or just wanting to know more information, people calling us. And I'm not sure what the variable is there. It's just either we're proliferating throughout the world and people are seeing our software and maybe they're owners and they're going to other businesses and seeing it and wanting to know more, but it's, you know, to not be pushing it on people and just people finding us is really amazing.
Yeah, and to put this in perspective, we are on a trend right now to finish out the year and add 800 to 1,000 screens a month. So if you think about that as an industry, all right. Now, again, other people have other software, so we're not, not everybody in the esports and LAN center world use our software, but we're the only cloud-based solution, fully cloud-based solution out there that puts all these people together. And now when we talk to the Alienwares, the NVIDIAs, the Intels, the Riots, the Blizzards, the Epics of the world, and we can say in our network that we're adding 800 to 1,000 screens a month, that is a very powerful number that is interesting to all of these companies. And how do they reach out to our centers in our network and therefore reach out to the players in those centers? So if you think about that, everybody out there can do the math. So let's just say we're adding 1,000 screens a month, okay? Most of our centers see about 10 to 20 unique players per screen a month. I would say that's the number. And everybody can kind of do the math that has their own centers. So if you've got 20 stations and you add 100 new, or you see 100 players a month, then you're getting 5 players per screen per month. Like, you can do the math. So if GG Leap and ggCircuit are adding 1,000 screens a month and the average is about 20 players, that's 20,000 new players a month being added into the system. All right, that are seeing these screens, that are seeing these games, that are participating in our seasons and earning coins and winning prizes. I don't know. Like, I don't want to be super bullish about the industry, but I've always been a fan and believed in the industry since day one, or else I wouldn't have done this for 14 years. But right now, we're finally putting in numbers that's proving what we've all thought is going to happen down the road, which is, esports and the tournament system and the concept of players all over the world or in their local neighborhoods getting together and competing to figure out who's better is going to be part of all of our future. It is definitely going to be part of all of our future. The only negative thing I've seen recently, as we kind of wrap up about the industry and start talking about more stuff, but I don't know if you saw this, but the Olympic Committee said esports is out because it promotes violence. And I understand that concept, and I understand their point of view, and they have to be very particular and safe and careful because, it may have had something to do with what happened in Jacksonville, which, again, you can't argue that that's, because they're playing Madden football, you can't argue that violence caused that, in esports, because that's a football game which is played in real sports. Obviously most of us understand that you could go to a concert, you could go to a trade show, you could go to a sporting event, you could go to an airport, you can go anywhere where there's a lot of people gathered together and have a problem, with weird people doing weird things. There's just bad people in the world. But I think the timing of that was poor in the fact that the Olympic Committee's reviewing all this stuff and trying to figure out what they should do with esports. I don't feel any less bullish about it because universities are still adding it in record numbers. Right. High schools are starting to get involved now. It's going to be played. All of our kids play it. It's going to be part of the future. So I hate to say it, but, if you could wave the magic wand and look forward 50 years, I just have a feeling that the Olympics is probably going to be a lot more esport than it is traditional sport.
Right.
Yeah.
I also look at sports like boxing or rugby or taekwondo. There's shades of violence there as well. You have to have something a little wrong in your brain to want to participate in those sports as well. And I get it, but I think some games could still be applied that
and that's what a lot of the arguments are. It's like Rocket League. It's a soccer game with remote control cars.
Right.
Like, how could you make an argument that has any kind of violence in it? But I mean, the thing is that it opens up competition to everybody. Like, that's why we all love esports, is that it discriminates the wrong word, but you don't have to be built a certain physical way to participate in esports. You don't have to be a certain age to participate in esports. I mean, everybody's favorite story is when the 40-year-old comes back to the Olympics and is successful because,
Right.
you know, like they're defying time, and everybody's like, how is that person, participating alongside of 20-year-old athletes? Everybody loves that story. With esports, that number goes to 70 or 80 or 90 years old at some point, so it reaches all these other people. The other thing that people forget about, I think a lot of times, is that money drives everything. As you could say that Olympics is there for the sport of competition, but I call BS on you every time, because if all of the places that do this don't make a crap ton of money, then they don't care about hosting the Olympics. Like, no one wants to host the Olympics at their city if they're going to lose a ton of money and it's not going to benefit their community.
Yeah.
Like, you do that for that purpose. The Olympics are there, like the athletes are there because a ton of companies sponsor them and pay money to put them through the Olympics, So I can tell you right now that if in 50 years, everybody's spending money on headsets and PCs and cell phones and all these technical devices, and we care less about what running shoes we have or what running clothes we have on or whatever, like, that's where the competition's going to go, where the money is anyway. You could pretend to be old school and say, football will be here forever. Well, football will be here as long as people buy tickets and as long as sponsors put money into it.
And as long as concussions don't take over the sport.
Right. I don't care what you how cool you think your sports competition is. If it doesn't make money and if there's no money pushing it, and then people will bring up, oh, well, what about all of the collegiate sports that don't make money? Well, you know what? They're there because of the collegiate sports that do make money. I mean, Let's just be real, like lacrosse or, swimming. I mean, I don't want to offend anybody. Like, there's programs that don't make money at a lot of schools that are funded by the programs that do make money.
Yeah, I think at the same time, the opposite argument with where esports is right now as an industry is, although the idea is cool to be in the Olympics, do the Olympics really need esports, and does esports really need the Olympics?
Right.
So, because it's all funded by the publishers and those companies. It's kind of the same argument in regards to the NCAA. It's cool if they would make it an NCAA event, but does esports really need that to organize and continue moving forward?
Right. The best part about universities embracing esports is it kind of validated that esports was a real thing, but it doesn't necessarily need to be controlled by the NCAA like other sports are. And that's what we've seen, is that we've seen, like all of these other tournament organizers and groups pop up that are trying to just really rally these different sectors together to produce this. Like, you could have an Olympics esports that's not ran by the current Olympics committee.
Right.
And that's maybe what happens. Or you could just say, why are we trying to always shoehorn esports into sports? Why can't it be its own thing? Like, isn't the NA, like the Overwatch League, already that sort of thing? I mean, there's teams in China. There's now going to be teams in Europe. Like, there's other teams in other countries that are represented in that world championship. I mean, I can't wait to see what Fortnite does. They're going to have a World Cup, and they'll announce how you qualify and get into that World Cup soon. Like, they're basically creating the Olympics for Fortnite.
Right. Good segue.
Yep. All right. So just quickly, let's go back and recap. So version 1 of GG Leap coming out in October. New pricing for it. If you want in at the early access, you got 30 days to do it. We won't even talk about early access pricing now, because as you watch this video in the future, I don't want you to be mad that you didn't get in early access pricing. The new player system is going to be focused on starting in October, so that's in 1 month. So we'll have new developers being hired at the end of this month and the first part of October that'll be dedicated to the player side, adding in new games, getting achievements and trophies, getting the gold membership prize vault ramped back up again for those that remember that from the ggCircuit days before we started on GG Leap. Super excited about all that stuff. That kind of leads us then to our final little talking point for today is we got the next phase of our Fortnite tournaments coming up. So for everybody that knows out there, the esports operation manager for Epic, KL, is a friend of mine, worked with us here at eBash years and years and years ago. He has been in different companies as he's moved on up through different publishing and game companies, found himself at Epic, has done a great job to really push the esports aspect and a lot of things that are going on in the Fortnite world. KL is driven, along with a lot of other people there at Epic. But so we're working directly with them to figure out how to bring this back into LAN centers. His thought on this is, there were days where we would have Gears of War tournaments at eBash where 30 or 40 teams would show up at eBash, and we would pay out $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, maybe $5,000, depending on how many teams showed up. He's like, Zach, he said, can you imagine if back then those teams could show up and instead of playing for 5,000, they were playing for 25,000 or for 50,000? Like the tournament venues themselves can't afford to make that happen. There has to be help from upstream. And that's where we're working on in the LAN Center network with these tests, is we're working towards an official program with Epic. Doesn't necessarily won't be a part of the World Cup or anything bigger upstream, just individual events where there's a chance in every region, in every place that there's a LAN center, for players to have a chance, just like what happened last weekend at PAX. Mm-hmm. It couldn't have been a better story last weekend than to have an unknown player show up that's not sponsored and win the whole thing at PAX, $250,000. And, I think the one thing I saw was he had like 200 or 300 Twitter followers before the tournament. And now he has like 30 or 40,000 Twitter followers, like less than a day or two after the tournament.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we want to be able to happen. That's exactly what we feel like esports is built to do. And we want to bring those competitions to LAN centers that are small, in different regions, that are medium, that are large, all the same. So this next Fortnite test tournament will be September 21st and through the 23rd. So we got 2 weeks to promote it this time, whereas last week we had 2 days. Right. So this time we have 2 weeks to promote it. We have extra servers to run it. We've got some new integrations we're building into automating it with Discord to communicate with the players, to get into matches. We're very excited about this next phase. This next phase will be hopefully the last testing piece that we then can perfect this plan that we're pitching to Epic to be a part of their $100 million prize pool that they've allocated for esports. And ideally, we just it's a small slice of that, but a small slice of that then gets earmarked and is just for these competitions at LAN centers. And the concept is every Friday over a 10-week series, every Friday is server after server after server that players can just queue up and join at participating centers. And there's a cash prize for every single server that night. Solos all night long. And every region around the world. So this time around, we're going to do regions in Oceanic for the Asian and the Australian groups. We're going to do servers in the Middle Eastern, European districts, and then we'll do servers again on the East and West Coast of North America. So all day Friday. It'll start early for us in the U.S. because it'll be the evening, late afternoon for those in Asia and Australia. But we're going to run servers all Friday that players can join in and have a chance to win cash at the end of every tournament. Then on Saturday, we're going to do a bigger duos event on Saturday. And the coolest thing that we're going to do this time is test the concept of centers being able to use the servers for practice or whatever they want to use it for privately in between all those events. So for example, Friday morning, our time, there'll be a 6 or 8 hour period before the matches start that we'll let centers reserve the server to test out some, local play only for their players at their stores. The only rule we have for this, and again, this is what working with Epic on this test mode, the only rule we have with this is that there will not be a fee for the players to enter these events. Okay. Now, it's fine for the centers to charge for game time, like a venue fee. That's totally fine, and that's very commonplace, and we expect that. What we don't want to see, and everybody support us on this, please, because we will track this. Again, it's, you're in ggLeap, you're selling products in ggLeap. We don't want people to double or triple their normal prices, and like fake it out that they're charging for these Fortnite slots. So our concept for this is that the centers will reserve slots at $2 a slot. That'll help cover our administrative costs for us running all of these events, because our team has to run these manually behind the scenes. Like, they're not automated. Our guys are jumping in there. They're setting up the servers. They're sending out the invites. They're starting up the servers. They're monitoring the servers. Like, it's not an automated process. So the simple formula we've come up with is centers will just pay $2 a slot. You can reserve as many slots as you want in each of these competitions. We'll max it out so that one center can't reserve all the slots. So we'll probably max it at like 20 or 30 per center per slot or per server. And we're going to just hopefully open that up the first of next week for centers to start reserving their slots. So we want to give centers at least 10 days of promotional time before these events take place that they can promote it in their networks. And, you know, last event that we had almost 1,000 players participate. So my goal for this test event is that I don't think it's outside of our abilities to put 5,000 players in this next event. I haven't talked to them to figure out how many players they actually served at the PAX West event last weekend. But I can't imagine that they served more than 1,000 players. I can't, you know, because it's 100 players getting sat down in a local network, firing everything up locally one at a time. You know, we'll find out how many players participated, but I don't think it's probably more than 1,000. You know, so our goal with these events, as we get the real events going later this fall, you know, I want 10,000 plus players every Friday to have a chance to play for money. You know, I want 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 players on Saturday to be able to form up duo teams and play through qualifying rounds and advance through to the final championship matches to win money. So that's our goal. We're happy and excited to announce it. We'll get all of the details confirmed with Epic today. All of the graphics confirmed with Epic today. We'll have everything ready for centers to register at the beginning of next week. And then we're going to have an automated player registration site that players will go to, that they'll connect their ggLeap account, their Discord account, and their Epic Games account. And they'll do that one time, and then once they're in the system, then we're able to add them in automatically to these servers, and it'll streamline everything. Because we're going to run more than twice as many matches this time around. And the goal this fall is to run 4 times as many matches as we did in our first test. So a lot of things happening. We love this concept. We love bringing these type of events to centers. That's the whole purpose that ggLeap and ggCircuit were created, was to organize this in a big group and present numbers to somebody like Epic, so that it's not just a little eBash in my store in Indiana with 100 stations and maybe 1,000 players a month. You know, I'm putting us all together, and I'm selling us all to these companies so that we can all benefit from these programs. What a great opportunity. So centers may reserve $100 or $200 or $300 worth of slots, you know, on Fridays and Saturdays for their local players. And those players will have a chance to play for $10,000 in prizes. That's crazy. That's crazy. You know, and that's why ggCircuit was started in 2008. Put all these centers together. Players can play for a bigger prize pool. It levels the playing field because it's all local players. You have to be in a LAN center to participate. You cannot participate from home. Teams have to be together participating at the same LAN center as well. Oh, man, it's going to be a crazy, fun couple months.
And no necessary travel for players and spending extra money.
Right. It was funny, but the story on the guy that won the PAX West thing, he got in line, he was registered, but he didn't have a PAX West badge. And that was part of the requirement. So he had to then go over to the line at PAX West, stand in line to buy a badge, go all the way back over and get registered, and still got in time, which is great. And then he ended up winning the whole thing. Yeah. You know, like that, to me, it blows my mind. But again, you had to be able to get to PAX West to participate in that, which was in Seattle. Like, that's what we're trying to solve for players all over the world. I want somebody to be within an hour of a local LAN center. If the majority of people are within an hour of a local LAN center and they can go there and participate, have a chance to play for $10,000 or $20,000 worth of prizes every weekend, then we've hit our goal of what we started back in 2008.
Yeah. Yeah. We always say crazy, but crazy is the norm around here.
That's right. And then, the hardest thing that the last couple of weeks has been starting to tell people no. You know, like, projects are coming in that are outside the scope of what we want to get done. And not that we tell them no, but we tell them, like, maybe, or you have to hold on a little bit. So the call I had today about some custom work for a customer, you know how happy I was when they said they're looking to dive into it in Q1 and Q2 of next year. I'm like, sounds good. Yeah, I love that plan. Just don't come to me and tell me you need something in 6 weeks, because like right now our development team is so focused on our milestones and our releases that we've got coming up the rest of this year. And it's so exciting to have all those things in place. We'll hit those milestones. And while we're hitting them, the new centers coming on board are trending at a higher rate than we thought they would trend out after we get all this stuff done.
Right.
Like we thought we'd be trending at these numbers in 6 months, not right now.
Yeah. Is that your last point for the day?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, go ahead.
The only other thing that I want to touch on, and I don't want to steal any thunder for Ross because he's working on a change log right now, but again, I'll be proven wrong, I'm sure, but there should be a new release on Monday. I'm not going to go into all of the details. I'll just say two really quickly. And one of these can already be done, is to redeem coins within the client. So centers that are out there that have been wanting to do this, you can add prizes under the prizes tab in inventory, and make sure that they are available within the client. Make sure that you have enabled your shop, and if you have not enabled it, you let us know. So again, all these coins that people have been racking up, now you have the opportunity to give them incentive to redeem those coins, and we hope that you do. The other thing that's going to be added for sure is adding in the ability to add your own games. So you can add your game art to whatever. You don't have to ask us to add a new game that comes out. It's all up to you. The other thing that I hope is included will be the ability on each game to log into your own account, or if a license pool is available, choose to launch a store account, which is something that's been asked for a while, and Ross has said that it's working, so we'll look for that release next week.
Yeah, I mean, the list of items that are going to be released for version 1, a lot of these things have been under development for many months. To give you an example, our Unity division, like the team that actually does the interface work, that connects in with the back end, so for us as a web and a cloud-based system, building the guts of how things work is one part of it on the website, but then connecting them to the players in the Unity interface is another part. And then also connecting the admin and to control them is a third part. So a lot of work's been going into all these different pieces over the past 6 months, really, that I know our Unity team right now has like 8 different pieces they're working on, because they're, the core team and the admin team have finished developing their pieces, and now the Unity team can apply that to the interface. So the fun part is that it's going to be rapid fire over the next 4 weeks. I mean, we were shooting for October 1 release of version 1, and our team's going to hit October 15th or before for the release of version 1. And all of these things will be in that first release, and then we'll be able to work out the kinks and test them. So I know that starting next week and the weeks in the future, we're going to have the ability for centers to come into the earlier versions and start testing these things, because we've got to run them through the paces before this version 1 release in October.
Right.
So if you're willing to put, if you've been waiting on that one feature and we're ready to roll it out in a test phase, please sign up to put, you don't have to put them all. That's the beauty of our system, is you just pick 5 of your PCs and we'll upgrade those and start testing the prize vault with the coins, like J-Mac said. The other thing is, I don't know when each of these pieces are released, but we just had a question this morning about the Spanish version. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things that we've been working on too, is do you know off the top of your head? I don't, but what languages are we supporting right on release?
Well, I know that
English.
I know that we have Spanish in the client. I know that I have created a French client. Now, there's 2 different language packs. There's the client and there's the web admin. Yeah. So Spanish in both the client and the web admin, French in the client, and Arabic in the web admin and client. We also have a language file for Filipino. We just have to convert that into the actual code.
Yeah. Do you know what are we working on? Or we've targeted any other ones besides those?
I don't want to promise any at this point.
Right, but I know we've identified other ones that we want to work on next.
Portuguese is one.
I thought we talked about Russian at one point.
Well, Russian's already in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Russian's in there.
On client and admin?
Yes.
Nice.
Because we
Nice.
have a couple Russian centers that are utilizing it. Because I jumped into their web admin and I was like, "What is going on? I don't want to click on anything."
I can't read it, even though I know what this should do.
Right.
It still makes me nervous to click it.
Exactly. Can I just change your language to English for a moment?
Yeah. Upcoming, we'll close with this, but upcoming, we're going to be in Vegas in October for G2E again. That's where we met a lot of our customers in the casino industry last year. We're meeting with some other groups that are coming out from California that have nothing to do with the casino industry, but we'll meet them out in Vegas because it's close to them. And then November, some of us will be at IAPA down in Florida, in Orlando. So anybody in those regions that would like to sync up with some of us, I don't know if I'll be there. I don't know if JMac will be there. We will have people there. So if you've ever wanted to get together with us, we love that. That's my favorite part of this business is, traveling out to other areas and meeting some of the people face to face that are using the software that, believe like we do that the industry has to work together, has to be cooperative in the way that we approach events and the way we approach sponsors and partners. So, I'll always meet with people. JMac all of our people, are happy to meet with you when we go out to these events. So if you're in any of those areas, you're close by to those areas, or you'll be at those events, let us know. We'll get you on the schedule to meet up with us. I'll never turn down having coffee or having a beer with people ever. So, if that's all you got to do to get me out is say, meet me for coffee or meet me for a drink. And I'm there. I'll probably be 900 pounds by the time this company matures, but that's okay.
I'm down. I'm down. Stay
You
down.
are. You look good. You look real good. You're just going to have to go Michelob Ultra and no additives and just coffee black. And
No, I schedule in beers in my Weight Watchers points.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't be on a beer schedule. You got to be impromptu with like right now I want a coffee. I can't schedule that kind of stuff. Come on.
All right. Is that it for today?
Yep, that's good.
All right. Until next time, we'll see you.
Sounds good, buddy. See ya.